Guys, I am officially stoked. I have been waiting a year and a half for today's shipment. I'm actually almost getting teary-eyed. This is pretty fucking pitiful, but I am super stoked. I have been trying to get a hold of Steve at Trueforged for 4 years now, probably. Back when I had the Trueforged Victories on my SN95, I was trying to originally get a set from him, could not get a hold of him because he went out of business. I ended up getting a set used. Then I trashed one of them with some bad road work on my SN95. Tried to get a replacement. Again, it was unobtainium. I got pissed. I sold the car. But I have also been trying, since I got my GT500, I have been going crazy and begging and pleading everybody to make a set of hood vents. Steve made these awesome hood vents years ago, and then he decided to retire. He must have had some health issues and went out of business. Shelby American must have had a few sets for the 40th anniversary edition Shelby GT500s. They since no longer make them. Another company, which the name is eluding me right now, started with a Z, I think. They made a set at one point. They are no longer in business. I've contacted every company, every friend I had that could do 3D printing, CNC. Nobody would get back to me. Nobody would make me a set of vents. By dumb luck, I saw Steve post a set of wheels for sale on SVTP, and I hit him as soon. I caught it by dumb luck because I'm always looking for parts and good deals. I caught him just as he posted, and messaged him and said, "Hey, do you have any extra sets of hood vents laying around? I'd really like to buy a set." He said, "Yes, I have a garage full of shit I gotta get rid of. I can hook you up." And then we get to today. I just got my hood vents. So we're gonna go ahead and unbox these, and we're gonna get them installed in the car. I hope you guys are as excited as I am to get this done. All right, so here it is in all its glory. This is the package. If you're lucky enough to get a set of these from Steve, that is how your package will look. Let's go ahead and get these unwrapped very carefully to avoid scratching the powder coat on them. Oh man, the excitement. So this is the piece that goes inside the hood. This is the bottom tray piece and the part that actually extends into the hood. Put that to the side. And you're going to see the style of vent I went with. I actually went with the OEM style. I think he only did a handful of these in this style with this mesh, the open diamond mesh that actually matched the OEM style vents, like the hood, or no, I'm sorry, not the hood, the grill vent in the front end. Oh man, look at that. That is gonna breathe so good. So excited. A little bit warped, but that'll all work its way out in the wash. Let's go ahead and get the rest unboxed. All right, next piece of the puzzle is going to be the outer trim ring. Man, Steve wrapped the shit out of these things with saran wrap. All right, so you got your outer trim ring. That's the part that you see on the outside of the hood. And it's going to have its pieces, its bosses there to bolt down. So you can see the order of things. You have your part that sits inside your hood. You have the grill that goes over it. and then you're going to have the trim ring that goes over it. So basically that is going to be the package you're going to see on the top of your hood. So again, as I showed you guys before, looking at the hood, that is where the bracing is. So this part will actually cover up the bracing. That way we won't see a big chunk of white bracing underneath the hood. This will cover all that up. So let's go ahead and get the other one unboxed, and we'll go out to the car and see how it looks. Okay, they are completely unboxed. They look beautiful. I mean, the grills are a little wavy. I'm sure once everything gets bolted down, that will work its way out in the wash, but otherwise these things look beautiful. I'm excited to get these on the car. Steve did go the extra mile with adding a little bit of instructions. He does have some really old videos on his YouTube page on an install. They're not the greatest video, so I'm going to go ahead and make this for you guys, because I know there's probably a couple other guys on here that are going to get a set of these, and I'd like to provide you guys with some good documentation on how to install these things. So you're going to get a little bit of a hardware too from Steve on bolting down the frames and bolting everything together. We'll go ahead and get cracking on this in a little bit. Alright guys, so now we're out of the car. You can see the car is partially ripped apart. I'm getting ready to do a plug change and adjust a couple other things in the car. Last video, I don't remember if I went over how to remove these, the stock ones, but essentially these are push clips. You kind of push in on here and here, and you can essentially push those stock vents out, and then there's retaining clips in the back. You will have a little bit of 3M tape on the upper side of your hood, which I'll show you guys in a minute. Let me shut the hood and try and do this one-handed. All right, so this is what the top side of your hood is going to look like after you push those open. So there were two on the insides and there's one kind of hiding on the outside. Pop that up, and again, you're going to see a little bit of 3M tape. You just kind of slide the vent out of the hook slots that are here and here, and then you have it out. Voila. So let's go ahead and get the other one out. And I just had these out a few weeks ago for some testing, so I kind of already broke the seal of the 3M tape. You can see the 3M tape still on there. You can either remove this with the install of the new vents, or you can leave it on there. I am going to leave it on there just because I want to avoid some scratches on the insides of that lip where the stripes are. So that's just the way I prefer to do it. It'll probably seal it a little bit better as well, but we'll see kind of how it goes with the install. Okay, so Steve sends these with the scoop pieces partially bolted in, so you put 2 screws in there to show how it's going to go together. First thing we'll do is take these 2 screws out. We're going to take the scoop out, and then we're going to use this tray that goes on the inside of the hood. This is going to be much easier to slide this in without having that tray hooked onto the vent. Okay, so the next step is you want to make sure that the vent is following the contour of the cutouts of the hood, which is like that. And then we are going to basically slide it in through that bracing and get it into place. Ideally, what you would want to do is have somebody on the other side to push in with the vent pieces. I'm going to go ahead and get those pre-studded, and we'll get everything slid in and adjusted. All right, next thing you're going to want to do is take the top trim ring, and you want to get these set screws. You're going to see that they have a 3/32 hex bit on top. So they are actually, they do have a provision for the hex head. So we'll go ahead and get those screwed in, and we'll get that pre-studded for everything to kind of sandwich together. Okay, so you're going to see one of the trim rings fully studded. You do not want to He-Man those things down, just snug them down. And then you're going to see your grill vent. It's going to basically lay on that, and then that's going to go on the outside of the hood, and then you'll sandwich everything together. So I went ahead and put all my hardware into a little dish there, and you're going to see I put a towel over top of my engine bay. That way, if you do drop anything, it is a lot easier to find it. You can see one of the bottom ring pieces already in place. We're going to try and finagle all this together. I'm going to apologize ahead of time. I don't have my head mount for my POV, but I'll see if I can figure something else out to be able to record this. All right, so since I'm filming myself, this is kind of hard to document and do it by yourself. The first one was pretty much of a pain in the ass to get in there. What I had to do is take this bottom, I put the screen in first. I slid it in at an angle like that and slid it, turned it like that, set it into place. Then got the back trim ring that the port is going to go on. Did the same thing. Tried to line it up a little bit, and then I stuck the studded trim piece down, and it took a lot of finagling to get those holes to line up. So right now it's a little bit loose. I'm hoping everything's going to kind of flatten out once I get everything tight. But the first one is kind of in place, a little tight on these sides. But again, I'm going to see if I can kind of shift it around a little bit and get it lined up a little bit better. All right, so this is why we test fit things and we do video documentation. So I sandwiched in the screen first, then I sandwiched in this back plate, and then I put the top plate on. I did not like how it was fitting back in this corner. It was not fitting, the top plate was not fitting all the way flush. Also, I lost 2 washers trying to get the washer and nut on that corner, so that is a bit of a bitch to get that in there. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you how the back plate slides in now that I have it off, and then I'm going to put the front trim ring and the screen on the top of the hood, and then go from there, because I do think it fits a little bit better and it won't mar up the hood. So again, kind of wedge that thing in there, slide it around, and you'll see it slides in like that. Now we're going to go to the top side of the hood and drop this guy down. All right, so we got the top trim ring and the grill screen on. We're going to go ahead and put the hardware on from the bottom and see if we can get this thing to fit a little bit more flush with everything on top. All right, so this is a little bit more challenging than I thought it was going to be. From doing multiple fits and unfits, or mount and unmount, I ended up stripping the threads out of that hole a little bit. Actually, it does have a little bit of thread still in there, so I may still be able to make that work. But I'd rather get a thread chaser kit and rethread that. What I decided to do is rip off the double-sided tape off of this hole, hopefully to get it to sit down a little bit more. So I'm starting over on this side now. I ripped the tape off. I'm going to go ahead and apply it how I did the first time. Screen in first, then the bottom plate, and then the top plate. And hopefully this side sits a little bit better until I can get a thread chaser. We'll be back and see if that helped. All right, so I finally got one vent in. It seems like that was the trick. So what you have to do when you do these is you kind of have to, this one's sticking up a little bit too, but you kind of have to tap these down. There are little not indentations, but there's little bosses. If you can see that boss there, that kind of has to fit into the cutouts of the hood. And you can see this one got chipped up a little bit from trying to push that in there. So it has to fit into those bosses into the hood, and you kind of have to shimmy them around to get them to pull down flush. So now I would say that's probably about as flush as that's going to get. Looks pretty good. There's a little bit of gap between the screen and the trim ring, if you can see, if it shows it from that angle, but that's about as best as I'm going to get this. So we're going to go ahead and put the scoop in and go from here. So basically with the scoop, it's just going to fit with the flange up, and it's going to fit in the vent like that, and then you're going to use 6 of these supplied screws, Phillips head screws, to fasten the scoop. All right, another suggestion I have for when doing these snorkels, you're going to see that this corner, if you can see it, is touching the sheet metal there. So these are extremely tight tolerances. I would suggest starting with the top corner, just get it started, and then manipulate this however you can to get this bottom left-hand corner started. And then you're going to see it's going to be touching the sheet metal a little bit. Your decision if you want to file that or notch it a little bit to get it to sit in. But you're going to have to do that to be able to get these other bolt holes to line up. So that was no easy task by any means. I was able to get this stud back in. I just basically threaded the stud back in to basically start new threads. I did not crank down on this too much. I don't know if that's going to hold very well, but we're going to see how it goes. If not, I might have to take it back out to crank it. So if I were to be doing this again, one suggestion I would give you guys is start threading from these back corners. Just get a couple threads on each one and then shimmy this and then pop that down in those top rear corners, because those are the ones that seem to be a bitch to get them to sit into. Once you get those in, start tightening these a little bit, kind of crisscross going across, and then you want that one to be the first one that you're snugging. As you do, it's going to pull that down and sink that in flush, and then you can kind of go around and hit these, and then these will flush up. So now, knowing that, I do have these pretty damn flush, about as flush as they're going to go. Again, there's a little bit of gap. The way that I decided to do these, it did not fully pull the vents up when you tightened it. So there is a little bit of a gap between that ring and the vent. This side doesn't seem to have it as much, so I'm going to see if I can push it up from the inside maybe or something. But these are pretty much finished. You see the underside now with the one snorkel. We'll go ahead and hit the other snorkel. All right, yeah, the underside of this hood again. We got the second snorkel in. That one went in a lot smoother. That one did just barely touch the metal over there, popped in. Remember how I was saying this side did not seem to fit in as good? I was able to get that to pop in. After I had everything tightened, seems like the bolts or the nuts, most of them loosened up a little bit, so I was able to kind of crisscross tighten a little bit more. I felt it pop in, and then that did set that grill in a little bit more. You can see from that angle it matches this side a little bit better. So I'm going to consider this a finished product, a finished project at least. You can see that from the top. Looks very, very nice. We'll go ahead and get some pictures. If you guys are lucky enough to get with Steve to get a set of these, I highly do recommend them. Again, they are a bitch to install. Hopefully these instructions help you out. So it'll go a little bit smoother for you. I did fight with these a little bit, but now that I have them in and kind of knowing what I know, again, the key is, I think, get the grill in first from the other side. Get the back plate in from the other side. Start the studs on the top rings. Then you would drop the rings in from the top, kind of shimmy them in to get everything to set. And actually with the grills, what you'll find when you do it that way with the grills, you want to slide the grills back with your fingers, and when you're getting the studs in the back lined up with that back plate, get those studs started first, then slide that grill back, since those kind of have like U slots. Slide the grills back, and then you'll have both of these lined up where these holes will just pop right in, and then you're good to go. And again, when you're tightening, just kind of get a few threads started on each. Get these back corners a little bit more snug, so that way they pop into that channel. Once that pops into that channel, all the rest of these are going to kind of line up. So that is the key, in my opinion, is to get those back ones started first, get those cinched down, and then everything else is going to kind of pop down. I did remove the weather stripping. I thought that the weather stripping was causing a little bit of an issue with these not sitting in, so I did remove mine. Looking back at that, I don't know if that was truly needed or not, but these do seem to be sitting pretty nice and flush now. So again, if you guys are lucky enough to get a set from Steve, I wouldn't drive him nuts about it, guys. From what I understand, he got out of the business because, you know, he had some heart issues maybe. Everybody's stressing him out for these awesome parts. So Steve, I thank you. I give this a thumbs up. Thank you for going out of your way to get me a set. I really do appreciate it. This truly is a dream come true. And hopefully this helps the community out if you're starting with a set of these and trying to get them installed. So any questions, guys, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll catch you in the next video.